Everybody can see our starting screen of Destination Germany?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to jump right in. Like I said, before my computer has a chance to crash again, we'll get through as much as we can. If we get connected, I'll come back as soon as I can. And I promise I'm not going to leave you in a lurch. All right, here we go. So we want to talk a little bit about Berlin as a destination, and a little bit about Berlin as a study center. So for those who didn't know, here's Europe with Germany right smack dab in the middle of our map here, and Berlin indicated. Like I said before, my name is Eric, and I am the Director of Student Life here at the CIE Study Center in Berlin. And the other picture that I've included here is Miss Julia Rhein, our host family coordinator extraordinaire, who will be working very closely, particularly with the language and culture programs, to place all of the students with appropriate host families. So the two of us will be working very closely together on the high school programs for this summer. There's a lot of different reasons why Germany would be an appropriate and exciting destination for a summer study abroad program. Besides the rich cultural and artistic history, obviously we are a major industrial and economic powerhouse in the EU, whether it is pharmaceuticals and medicinal research, whether it's the automotive industry, or whether it's even just soccer. It's astonishing what an economic force soccer is, apart from being the national pastime that gets everybody to stay home on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And just as a random fun fact, Germany has over 300 types of bread and over 1,000 different types of sausages. So whatever you've got a taste for, we've got it for you. Moving in a little bit more specifically from Germany to Berlin, I was always one of those people. I've lived all over Germany and all over Austria. And for years, I was one of those people who said, I don't understand the big hype about why everybody wants to move to Berlin. Münster is great, Paderborn's great, Mainz is great, Tübingen is great. All these other cities are absolutely wonderful. Why does everybody want to move to Berlin? And then I moved to Berlin, and about a year later, I said, oh, yeah, now I get it. This is why everyone wants to move to Berlin. It's just super exciting. Whenever you think you've discovered the city and you've really got to know it, it goes and shows you 7 new facets you never even dreamed were there, whether it's the multiculturalism or the artistic inspiration all over the city, the creativity and persistence of the tech startup scene, the history that you literally stumble over as you walk down every sidewalk in this city, or what I personally find most refreshing, despite the fact that it is a large urban city of almost 4 million people, it is so green. If you ever feel like you're being overwhelmed by the city and its urbanness, it's never far to find a patch of water or a patch of green where you can just relax. And in about 10 minutes effort, you don't hear the cars of the city anymore. You don't hear the hustle and bustle, and you can just leave it all behind you and relax and enjoy. So whatever you're looking for, Berlin's got it. Thinking a little bit more specifically about the programs that we offer here in Berlin, we offer 2 different high school summer programs. One is called Language and Culture, and the other is called Global Entrepreneurship. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about each of these programs. And then, like I said, hopefully my computer stability will continue to maintain and I won't crash for the 7th time in the last half hour. So I'm going to get through this as quickly as I can to talk about both of these programs. And then we'll have some time at the end to get into any more details that I'm not covering in our initial sweep through our 2 programs. Like I said, German Language and Culture and Global Entrepreneurship. So the Language and Culture program is exactly what it promises. It's an intense language program that goes through 3 hours of instruction a day, 5 days a week. So instruction goes from about 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. They are complemented by so-called community conversations, where students will get sort of homework assignments or scavenger hunt tasks in any variety of forms to get out in the city, use the German that they've learned in the classroom that morning, and use it in some practical way applying it, whether it's short interviews with people on the street, whether it's a scavenger hunt through a local marketplace, whether it is swinging by a local high school and connecting with some peers there. There's lots of different forms that the community conversations can take as a real life application for what they're covering in the classrooms. Of course, apart from their opportunities to use their German on our daily activities and excursions and with their host families, either at breakfast in the morning or in the free evening time. We do our best to strike a nice balance between full cultural programming and scheduling that helps you make the most of your time while you're here, but also realizing that decompressing is an important part of this as well, because it is an intense program. So we want to make sure that you have sufficient free time to explore on your own and to spend with your host families. And although you do get breakfast and dinner with your host families, of course, your host families are there more than just for meals. They are there to help be your local support net in a host family situation as a complement to the support that we provide here on site through the CIE staff at our study center. Where's my mouse? Why are we not advancing? One second. Hold on a second. I think I lost my screen sharing, but we'll get that right back in a second. Oh, right. Okay. Are we back to full screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Sorry for that interruption. There we go. Why will you love learning language learning in Berlin? One of the things that I really like about our program, and I've taught in several different forms of intensive language programs, is that we really do focus on small groups of students and we focus on tailored levels. So whether you're an absolute beginner or whether you've already completed 2 or 3 years of high school German, we work to make sure that you're in a group of students who are at the same level as you. Of course, nobody's always at perfectly the same level with each other, but we do our best to accommodate and match so that you're learning with learners at the same level as you. And with excellent local teachers who have been working with our program for years. They know our students, they know our curriculum, they know the city, and they're dedicated to really helping each student make the most out of what they can in the classroom time. And like I said, we really work hard to make sure that we're complementing the in-class learning with excursions and activities in the afternoon that complement what you're doing in the classroom. I talked a little bit about community conversations before, but here again, just a little bit more information. This, for example, is one of the market stands just down the street from campus. So, when we're learning about foods and fruits and vegetables, then, you'll get a chance to head
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya. I'm with CIEE US. I'm so sorry about this. There is a tech issue with local team in Germany. So please just give me a moment so I can reach out to the director, and we will be with you shortly. Can you please confirm that you hear me? Saraya, Ainsley, Dennis? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your patience. Give me 1 second, and I'll be with you shortly. Hi, everyone. I'm back. So I can't get a word from Eric, the center director, but I'm going to go and explain a little bit about the key components of the program. Give me 1 second. So can you all hear me? Okay, perfect. Okay. So, well, my name is Tanya, and I am a global education advisor at CIEE in US. I'm based in Dallas, Texas. So I know more about the language and culture programs because I had the opportunity to be the academic coordinator for the language and culture program in Mexico. So I was in Guanajuato and also in Merida, Yucatan. The language and culture programs have the same components, even though the language changed, the target language may be different, but the key components of program in the curriculum are the same. So that is a very special thing about our programs, because you will be learning about the target language and also the culture. So be both immersed in both the language and the culture. And every site has their own components, right? In this case, for Berlin, it is the German language, language and German culture. Oh, hi. I see that Eric is back. Hi.
Hi, sorry about that.
Thank you. Don't worry about it. I was just started to explain a little bit more. I saw that you were in the community conversation part of it. So I'm gonna hand the microphone to you as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience and for understanding. Tech issues are there.
Yes.
So, but welcome back, Eric, and thank you so much for
Yes, thank you. Thank you again for your patience.
I'm
as
here.
well.
Let me know if you need any support, and I'm also in the chat checking if there are any questions.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's go share screen. And here we go. Community conversations. We already had that. Let's continue on with homestays. Why are we not shifting to full screen? I'm going to say, for the sake of time efficiency, we're going to stay in this, even though it's less attractive than going full screen. But what matters is really the content, and form is a nice bonus. Okay, so with the language and culture program, it's not just about language learning in the classroom. It's not just about the community conversation activities that you're going to be doing outside of the classroom. It's also about the contacts that you're going to be forming with your host families. And here we really do stay true to Berlin reputations and to Berlin patterns. Berlin is not a city of your traditional mama, papa, 2.5 kids with a dog and a picket fence. We have a lot of different family members and family models that reflect the type of environment and the type of city that Berlin is. So we have a lot of patchwork families, a lot of multi-generational families, a lot of rainbow families, a lot of single parents with various kids, and just all sorts of, as the slide says, families in all shapes and sizes. So we thoroughly embrace that about Berlin and want to introduce you to those models. They are all fluent German speakers, so no worries about that. You will still get lots of language practice. You will have your own room, even if you may be there with another student or two, or with host siblings. Like we talked about before, breakfast and dinner are included with your homestays. And then we'll leave the evenings and the weekends as free as we can, so that you have the ability to hang out and spend some time with them as well. So again, despite the interruption, I'm going to go back quickly. Oh boy. I was going to go back quickly and recap language and culture before we move on to global entrepreneurship. Again, I'll do that while I'm waiting for PowerPoint to recover itself. But with the language and culture program, like I said, we've got language instruction in the mornings from 9 to noon. We've got a lunch break. And then after lunch, you've got your community conversations, your exploratory activities. And then we've got our cultural programming in the afternoon after that, which will finish in time for you to go home and enjoy dinner and free time with your host family in the evening. So that's the language and culture class. If my slides load, and even if they don't, we'll still continue on to the global entrepreneurship program. I'll talk about that here a little bit first while we're waiting for technology to recover itself. The language and culture program is our thematic program here in Berlin, is a counterpart to the 4-week intensive language class. The global entrepreneurship program is instead a 3-week program. So it's a little bit shorter, a little bit more intense. And rather than living in host families, because language acquisition is not a primary goal of the Global Entrepreneurship Program, students will live with their program leaders here in the CIEE dorm, which we'll take a look at in the slides in just a second. With the Global Entrepreneurship Program, as the name suggests, you will learn not only about core questions and aspects to think about when looking to start a business or to run a business, but then also specifically what that means to do that in a German context or in a Berlin context. So you'll have an opportunity to meet with lots of small business owners, lots of industry experts, and to pick their brains while developing and proposing your own startup by the end of the summer. My slides are just about caught up to us again. And so we'll give it a moment because I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Yes, okay. So again, like the language program, we've got 15 hours of interactive instruction a week. Language acquisition is not a primary goal of this program, but it is an optional component. If you want, there is a survival German class that you can participate in as a supplement to the program. And then again, we've got afternoon cultural activities and excursions. We're going to make sure to leave you free time. And then, like I said, the program leaders will be living with you in the dorm to help structure some of that free time, to give you suggestions about places to explore, but also to refine your own cooking skills, because you will be looking after yourselves and taking care of your own meal plan with the program leaders here in the dorm. Why is Berlin so great for an entrepreneurship program? We've got inspirational and resilient spirit without end. Berlin is a very young, innovative and dynamic city. People find lots of creative ways that I'd never even thought of before I talked to them. For example, one of my new favorite startups that I just discovered, it started off as an NGO to catch and recycle rainwater in productive ways. And from there, instead of just being a community project for water reclamation, one of their employees spun it off and turned it into a startup for vertical gardening and hydroponic gardening in your own home. So how great is that? Surface area is limited in Berlin. A lot of people live in apartments, and so you don't have yards to do your gardening. And so they created a way to do vertical gardening on a hydroponic basis without needing lots of soil and surface area, and are making a successful business out of it. So besides that, like I said, you'll be living here at our CIE Institute at the Global Institute Berlin. We are in the heart of the neighborhood of Kreuzberg in a former 19th century factory. About going on 10 years ago now, the building was got rehabbed from a former automotive parts factory that we've tried to keep true to in its aesthetic presentation. We've got rehabbed it into classrooms and a dorm for our students. You'll have a chance to live in one of the most exciting neighborhoods of Berlin, the Bergmann-Kiez within the district of Kreuzberg. You've got your space for you and your program mates up on your floor together with your program leaders, but we also have lots of community spaces in the lobby and on the lower levels as well. So if there are places that you want to come together to hang out with other program mates or to meet people on other programs while you're here over the summer, that happens as well. Each floor is equipped with a communal kitchen, and we have one laundry room for the building. It sounds like not a lot to just have one laundry room for the full building, but it works. People are kind and respectful, and we make it work. In both the language and culture program and in global entrepreneurship, I've talked a little bit about some of the daily activities and excursions that we go on, but I haven't really gotten into a lot of details yet. Here you can see some of the snapshots. The bottom left photo is us at the Olympic Stadium. Otherwise, the top right is exploring the city, not only on a regular walking tour of the city, but one where we go through 3D models of the city as well to explore with that. Just a nice ice cafe, ice cream on the top left, and other things depending on the activities and interests of the group. We plan a lot in advance, but we do wait to meet our students on site to plan all of the activities, because we don't want to do lots of outdoor sporty activities if it turns out it's a group of really artistic students who would much rather go to museums. And at the same time, if you are a really outdoorsy, an active group, we don't want to bore you by keeping you inside museums all day long when it's really nice summer weather. So a lot of it is tailored to the batches of students that we get when they arrive. COVID has calmed down quite a bit, and we're in a very different place than where we were at when I held this presentation a year ago. However, COVID is still a concern. Restrictions in Berlin at the moment are a minimal, but still present. So currently, you're required to wear an FFP2 or a KN95 mask on all forms of public transportation. And in all medical facilities. So whether that's the doctor's office, whether it's the local pharmacy, whether it's the emergency room, if you're anything pertaining to public health or to medical care, you need to wear a mask. And like I said, on public transportation as well. In Germany, the definition of what it means to be fully vaccinated is a little bit different than in the US. Here, in order to be considered fully vaccinated, you need 2 shots plus a booster. So it doesn't matter. So if you had Johnson & Johnson for your first shot, and then you got another booster shot on top of that, that may count as fully vaccinated in the US, but by German definitions, you need a total of 3 shots in order to count as fully vaccinated. Right now, they're not making a whole lot of differentiation between people with fully vaccinated status or partially vaccinated status. That may change over the course of the winter. If the arc that we've been seeing over the last few years continues to hold true, then we'll actually see a loosening of these restrictions again heading into next summer. But again, we're talking something that's about 6 months down the road, so I don't want to speculate too much. I just want to give you an update about where we're at today. At the moment, if you test positive for COVID, you are required to enter isolation, and it is a minimum duration of 5 days. If you test negative after 5 days, you can test out and end your isolation then. If you still continue to test positive, then you need to remain in isolation for 10 days. And then whether you test positive or not, it's determined that you're no longer contagious after 10 days, even if you're positive, and you don't have to remain in isolation at that point anymore. Okay, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride. We've had a couple interruptions. I hope this has been somewhat coherent and somewhat helpful in giving you an idea of our 2 programs, the Language and Culture program and the Global Entrepreneurship program. Just as a quick reminder, in case you forgot what the cuttings in and out, my name is not Joanna Blank. My name is Eric Ginola, and I am the Student Life Director here in Berlin. And we have now reached the point of the presentations where I can stop monologuing, and you can feel free to answer questions about any topics that may concern you of particular interest. Feel free to unmute or to type your questions into the chat box, whatever works best for you.
Hi, I actually do have 2 questions about the dorms for the Global Entrepreneurship program. The first one is about the food. You said that we'll be making our own food for breakfast and dinner.
Correct. There is not a meal plan with the Global Entrepreneurship program. So we have kitchens in the dorms. And so it's up to you how much you want to cook and prepare your own food or how much you want to eat out. Just in our experience, eating out 3 meals a day over the course of 3 weeks gets a bit expensive.
Yeah. Okay, and then my second question is, will the classes be in the same building as where we're staying, or are we going to be taking transportation to the classes?
Somewhere in between those 2. We're still waiting to see how the shape of our summer as a whole shapes up. We have 7 or 8 classrooms on campus. Depending on how full our summer gets and how class scheduling works out with all of our various different programs, we have a local partner high school that we work with that we often borrow 4, 5, or 6 classrooms from. And it's about a 10-minute walk from campus. So if you're not on campus in the classrooms that we have here on site, then it's about a 10, maybe 15-minute walk if you take a casual stroll to the classrooms of a local high school. We all have class instead.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. And the same is true for the language and culture program. Again, depending on how the shape of the summer pans out, you'll either be commuting to, you'll be commuting back to the neighborhood of the CIE Berlin Study Center regardless. It's just a question of whether or not the classes for the language and culture, again, will also be on campus or if they'll be with a local partner around the corner from us, local high school. In terms of the institution where classes will take place, like I said, it's a local high school around the corner called the Leibniz Gymnasium, is the high school that we partner with that. How many students typically enroll in the entrepreneurship program? It varies. In one of our sessions last summer, we had about 20 students. In another session that we had last summer, we had 40 students. So we've seen quite a range of enrollment, and we'll be curious to see how this year pans out.
Is there a limit to how many students you guys take for the Global Entrepreneurship Program?
I've not heard of an upper limit being set in the past now. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? I want to know if since they are not hosted by a family, most of the time they are by themselves.
For the language and culture program,
No, from the entrepreneur.
Yes, so they'll be like I said, they'll be in class from about 9 to 12 every Monday through Friday. There's a break for lunch, and then the Global Entrepreneurship Program also has a staff of program leaders who live in the dorms with the students and who lead the afternoon cultural activities.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. In terms of the question in the chat box about the process for host families, the more detailed you can be about your interests and hobbies and you as a person, the more detailed you can be in your application, the more carefully we can place you with the appropriate host family. We have a network of, I would say, probably about 70 or 80 host families that we work with. And so we really do put a lot of effort into pairing you directly on your directly with host families that match. And history has shown that we do a pretty good job. So you necessarily won't get to choose where you go, but we will be putting a lot of time and effort into making sure that we find an appropriate host family match for you. In terms of questions about exploring the city on their own in the evenings or on the weekends, again, the answer is a yes or no, because these are high school programs, we do have a curfew in the program. During the week, the curfew is 9 p.m. Students need to either be back in the dorms or back with their host families by 9 p.m. during the week and 10 p.m. on the weekends. So they will have the opportunity to explore some on their own, but they do need to then come back home and or check in with program leaders and their host families by a reasonable time. Again, similar thing on the weekends. We have, there is one weekend that is planned for an overnight excursion on each program. And there's one weekend where we plan a day trip. And so there is some programming going on the weekend, but students also do have free time on the weekend to explore on their own as well. Please be aware that given the framework of this program, in terms of their duration and their intensity in the classrooms, and the fact that we are talking about high schoolers who are minors and not yet of age, there is no independent travel outside of Berlin unless it is with parents before the program starts or at the end of the program. So for example, students would not be able to pick up on their own and head down to Munich for a weekend while they're here on the program. They would need to stay in Berlin for the time that they're here, but they will have free time to explore the city. And there's more than enough to do in Berlin. I promise you won't be bored or feel like you're trapped. Any other questions that I can help with, or any other topics that you want to ask about? Okay, then I want to be conscious of our time. I know we only have about 4 or 5 minutes left. I'll still stick around and you can feel free to continue asking questions if you'd like. But before we get there, I want to make sure that we hit this final slide. If you are interested in visiting any of the other sessions that we're holding, they're going to be going on further on over the course of this week. That you can feel free to check us out at cie.org/gnfair, or you can reach out to hsabroad@cie.org. So HS being high school, so high school abroad, hsabroad@ciee.org for any questions, or to find out when our regular drop-in sessions are. Depending on which region of the country you're in and what time zone you're in, there's sometimes at different days of the week, different times of the day to see what works best for you. Rather than getting into a complicated chart, please simply feel free to contact hsabroad@ciee.org with any other questions you may have after today's call, or to find out about our regular drop-in hours.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Yes. And for being flexible and understanding in the tech issues. But thank you so much. This is very interesting. And as Eric mentioned, keep looking for more information on the website. Reach out if you have any questions. Tell your family as well if you want to book a phone call with us. We are here to support you. And we know this is an important decision. So we really appreciate that you are taking the opportunity to study abroad with us. And because of that, we want you and your family to have peace of mind. So please never hesitate to reach out. We are here to support you throughout all the application process and also your departure day. And we have the amazing staff in the local CIE staff that will be there supporting you on site.
Yes. And thank you for your tech support as well. And thank you to all of the parents and students who attended today. Although it was brief and sporadic, it was a pleasure to get to meet you, and I hope we'll get to see some of you here this summer in Berlin.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, Eric. Enjoy your evening. We know it's late
yes.
over there. So have a good night, and we will be in touch, everyone.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.